Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jake, other known as Gormlore, over on the Skater XL modding Discord. Today I will be teaching you all how to create a shoe texture for the game Skater XL. It's relatively easy. It definitely takes a bit of practice, but I'm going to be teaching you guys one of the best techniques I found to do it. Yes, so the first step, you're going to obviously want to find a shoe that you want to recreate for the game. Here I have some Emerica Reynolds 3 Volk shoes I found over on Skate Warehouse. Skate Warehouse is a really good website because they typically always have every angle of the shoe that you're going to need and super high quality, so that definitely helps a whole bunch. So I recommend coming here your first few times. Next thing that we're going to want to do is, of course, take one of the images of the shoes that we want to work on first. I'm going to work on the outside. This is the inside of the shoe. This is the outside. I'm going to use the outside and click the large view right here and right click and copy the image. I already pasted it here into my Photoshop, but when you first edit, paste it, or Control V, it'll look like this. They are super high quality images over on Skate Warehouse. That's why I recommended you guys them. But we're going to hold shift and drag this down so it scales proportionately. And what you're going to want to do is take this magic wand tool, click the white, and it'll pretty much grab all the white that you need. If it doesn't, mess around with this tolerance here. That's definitely a good tool to use, or a little tip. And it should come out just the way you wanted it. I already pasted it in here, as you can see. So yeah, next step. I forgot to tell you guys, if you need a template, it is over here in the Discord under hashtag templates. This is a really good one to use because it shows you exactly where everything is. Alright, so what I do first is I right click up here and find my magnetic lasso tool, and what I'll do is I'll grab just the sole. So one thing that helps actually with this tool is to turn the frequency up to 100 so you get a lot of grabbing points, as you can see every dot there. And what I'll do is I'll go along the whole base of the shoe just grabbing the sole. It should stick because it's the magnetic lasso tool, so you have a little bit of error, or a little bit of leeway for error. And once you're off of the shoe there, you can be pretty messy and just come around like this. Connect them with a double click. Let's do Control C and Control V. Now we have just a sole, as you can see, and I'll show you guys how to warp that to the texture quite exact, to be honest. Alright, so what we're going to do is do a quick Control T to bring up our handles here, and hold our Shift key and scale this down proportionately. I'll try to line it up as best as I can without really altering it in any way. So with size and proportion and all that, I'll try to do it really quick. Alright, that's like as best as I'm going to get it without like warping the picture at all. So next step is actually warping it. Let's do another quick Control T to grab a hold of it, and right click, and let's click warp right here. This is the magic tool that we're going to be using for making shoes. Click that and you'll see it should pop up like this. It should go into like a checkerboard type of thing. And this is really great because you can go in and do fine little adjustments with warping it and try to make it exact to the sole that's already in the game. How we can do that is drag the opacity of our sole layer down just a little bit, and you'll be able to see the sole underneath it, is what I do. And go back into warp, and I'll try to line it up just right with how the in-game one already was. Alright, so when you think you got it good, as you can see here, I got it relatively on point. What we're going to do is just confirm the action so your box and your bars go away so you don't mess with it. And what I'm going to do is drag this down here to this little sticky note looking thing. This will duplicate the layer, pull another Control T, right click, flip vertical, and just hold shift and drag it right up so it pretty much stays on the same axis. And as you can see, when you move it up here, it's almost as if the texture's a little different. So we're going to need to readjust the warping just a little bit, which is pretty easy. Let's just drag the opacity down once again so we can see behind it a little bit. and try to line it up just right how the first time we did it. And as you can see here, it's not too much of a struggle. We just need to readjust it just a tad. Alright, when you think you have that all set up, we're going to click this check button up here, drag the opacity back up, and now you're like, alright, well I got this little bit of empty space here and it looks kind of weird. What I do is I usually take my polygonal lasso tool once again, and let's just snag a little block of the soul. Double click to finish it off here and we get these dotted lines. Let's control C, actually let's make sure we're on the right texture. Yeah, make sure you're on the right one. Pull up control C, control V, and now as you can see here we have a little block to work with, and what I'll do is I'll rotate it up and pretty much warp it back into place like we've been doing. So let me zoom in here. Right click warp, and let's just warp it right in. And anything that we don't want, let's make sure we just, get rid of it. So if it doesn't look like it should be there, let's erase it. One tip to blend the soul a little bit more. If we have any overlapping here, you can try dragging it under a layer. That might look a little better, but if not, what we're going to do is take our eraser and just bring it, right click and bring the hardness down, and what that'll do is it'll make it a very soft eraser, and as you can see that blends it up really nice to make it look like it was all one. And we can do that for the bottom here as well. Actually, what we might do is let's grab the rubber above it, blend it up real nice, make it look like it wasn't there. Sweet, so as you can see here we have the completed soul for the right shoe in game. I know it's on the left here, but this is actually the right shoe. Next thing we're going to want to do is make this layer visible once again, and what we're going to do is use the magnetic lasso tool to do literally the same exact line here, except going around this way this time, completing the circle, pulling a control C, control V real quick. And what that does, I already did it actually, so let's just make this one invisible because we're going to use it again. And what you'll have is something like this. Now what you're going to do is, hoping you guys know this hotkey by now, hold down shift and proportionally drag it down, rotate it a bit, try to get it, as close as you can, pretty much exactly what we did with the soul. Obviously it looks pretty crappy right now, but what I look for when I'm placing my shoe texture is if the stitching right here lines up with the stitching on the actual shoe of the game, I kind of want that to happen. I want the laces to line up as best as possible, and with also touching as most as I can to the bottom. What I'm going to do is drag this layer below the sole, so what will happen, I messed up. What will happen is it will actually obviously go beneath it, so that'll help a lot so we don't get unnecessary clipping. So I think I have it lined up kind of pretty much the way I want. This is also the outside of the shoe, which is going to be these sides, so I'm just going to make it here because my eye is a little bit more comfortable with it, and then I'm going to flip it and just throw it up there. But so yeah, you can do whatever works for you guys. I'm going to warp it and do the exact same thing, the magic tool with what we did with the soul, and just try to get it as close as possible. We can drag the opacity down once again and try to line it up nice. Try to make sure I have everything that I still want, like my stitching on that line and the laces pretty much in the spot that I want. And it doesn't need to be perfect because this part of the shoe doesn't really even show anyways, but I kind of like to get as close as I can just to say that I got it all in the texture. And when you have one part of the warp that you think is pretty good, but if you mess with anything else and you're like, that kind of makes it a little messed up, what you could do is you could confirm it, and then just go into it once again, and it kind of like acts as a completely different warp. At least I feel like it does. I'm not sure if it actually does, but yeah, it's looking pretty good already. As you can see, it's looking quite to scale. Alright, sweet. So I have the outside of my shoe. What I'm going to do is right-click it, or pull a Control-T, right-click it, and now we're going to do flip vertical. I'm going to throw it up here. It usually needs a little bit of warping like it does with the sole, because it's slightly different up there. Shouldn't need too much adjusting though, and as you can see, it looks pretty much as it did. If it doesn't, nothing, a little fine-tuning can't help. Alright, cool. So once we have that how we want it, let's go back into our skate warehouse, back wherever we have our pictures. Let's take our next sample, which this is going to be the inside for me. Let's open up the large view because the quality's a little better. Copy the image, throw it in on a new layer, my bad. Control C, Control V. Let's bring this down here. Pretty much do everything that we've been doing. So I'm gonna do a quick jump cut, because you guys, if you don't know that, just go back in the video a little bit to see what I said. Alright, so now that you've got this cleaned up, what you're gonna do is use the magnetic lasso tool once again, just like before, and do the exact same thing. Grab the top of the shoe there. I already did it as I already did it, as you can see. I already warped it to my liking. So next thing that we're going to be doing is this top part of the shoe. As you can see here, I already have it a little bit laid out. You're going to just copy the image from here, paste it onto here. It originally looked like this. I just took off the white with tools that were mentioned before. And what you're going to do is turn the opacity down, rotate it, and try to line it up with the white laces that were already on the original texture. As you can see here, I have it pretty good, so let's drag the opacity back up. I have almost every stitching lined up. This one's a tiny bit off, so what I'm going to do is warp it. Like I said, guys, this is the magic tool. And I think that'll be pretty good when we smooth it out, so yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, what I'm going to want to do now is I actually want my top view, I want that to be over that. So once we have that, we're going to use our eraser at a very low hardness and start erasing everything but up to the laces. So try to get pretty much everything. Try to get these to line up as well while you're erasing. And if not, you can always go back and warp once again. Like so. You might have to do the same thing for the other side. One really good tool that you can use is this clone stamp tool right here, and how you use it is you hold down Alt on your keyboard once you have it selected. Make sure you're on the right layer that you want to use, For my layer, I'm gonna want this layer 6 here. Let's bring our thing down a little bit, and you hold down Alt, and you're gonna see this little target. Click to gain a sample, and you can kind of patch over. See where that plus sign is? That's where it's taking a sample from, and where we're actually using it, that's where the sample is going. So you can kind of correct your errors little by little, and it makes it look like it wasn't really there. So that's another quick tip and a really good tool to use while making shoes. This is starting to come together just how I wanted it, so not too much longer till we will copy and paste and flip it to the other side. Alright, so now what we're going to do, once we have one shoe finished, and to easily bring it over to the second shoe so we don't really have to do anything, we just have to complete one, we're going to merge all these layers that we've been using, so we can delete these sample shoe textures now, and take every one. Let's hold shift, click the first one, hold shift, click the bottom one, selects all of them really quick for you, right click, and let's merge our layers. Now let's drag down to the sticky note looking thing again to make a duplicate. Pull a Control T, let's flip it, hold down shift and move it along that axis. So as you can see, that was super easy. We didn't have to do that whole process once again. We could just quickly do that in about 10 seconds and line it up just right. Look at these little pixels. See these little pixels sticking out over here? I try to get this same look over here. That's how I know that they are the exact same. So just a quick little tip for you guys if visuals help you, because I know visuals help me a whole bunch. As you can see here, we pretty much have our completed shoe texture. So that took me, I don't really know how long, but not long at all. It's a little bit rough. I might go and fix that up before I finish this video and send out this texture for you guys to use on the Discord. But obviously we can't forget about our sole, so I will be right back with that. Alright, so here's our sole texture. I got it all cleaned up and resized to about the same size as this little footprint here. What we're going to do is, or at least what I do, is I lay it over and try to get it as best as I think I can, just by eyeing it. And what I do to check it to see if it was anywhere close before I actually test it in game is I'll click this background layer here. I'll go on my magic wand tool, set the tolerance down all the way to about 0 or 1 to be honest with you, and click right on the sole. So what that's going to do is grab that tiny little footprint like you can see here. It's going to grab the edge of it, and as you can see we pretty much got it spot on first try. What I think I want to do is move the sole to the right just a little bit. Maybe, let's see what 2 pixels is going to do. Do the same thing, check it. That's pretty good. I think I want to move it over maybe 1 more. And it's a lot of, as you can see, trial and error with making shoes. A little bit of practice will definitely help you guys, so I hope I can help you out with this video. That one's pretty good. I think I'm going to take it. And what you do, or actually, you know what, you can just leave it like that. I was going to show you a way to cut around the edges, but let's just leave a little bit of an overhang just in case we didn't get it all. And let's create a duplicate like we've been doing. Flip it horizontally and then just bring it over, pretty much just like that. Make sure it's lined up just like the other one. And quickly I'll show you how to do laces, how to color them up real quick. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're selected on the background layer once again. Next we're going to go up to our rectangular marquee tool and select these little laces right here, these little white strands. If you didn't know, those are actually the laces of the shoe. And once we have them all in our little dotted line, we're going to go up to hue/saturation right here, and we're going to drag this lightness down because it's just black laces, so let's actually desaturate that. So yeah, let's make them black without being completely pitch black like that, because that's a little too much. So just about identical to what the picture looks like. That's pretty good. Now what we're going to do is drag this down like we've done before in this tutorial, and pretty much we're using the same tools and hotkeys and all that throughout this tutorial, so there's not much to learn. I've pretty much explained everything that you're going to need to know. And yeah, just place them over the other side as well, and there you go. I mean, that's how to create a shoe texture within Photoshop. It's pretty easy. Once again, for the final time, like I said, it's going to take some practice, but you guys will definitely get it. I believe in you all. I hope I helped you guys out without sounding like an idiot. So thank you so much. Gormlar out. Peace.